guys. So welcome. Thank you for choosing to practice with me today. And thank you maybe for choosing to practice with me for the rest of the month. I'm so happy that you're here. So come, find any comfortable seat. I'm sitting up on a blanket. You may choose to do the same. You can sit cross-legged. You could sit on your shins. You can sit on a block, whatever works for your hips, your back today. And as you get there, let out any wriggles, so any fidgeting with the hair, the clothes, the jewelry. And then allow the hands to rest gently in the lap and allow the eyes to close. And as we arrive at our practice today, just becoming aware of any sensations in the body. So how is the body feeling today? For some of you, it's morning, and you might be feeling a little stiff. For a lot of us, it's evening. We might be tired from work or from our daily chores. No judgment, no trying to change anything, just aware. And then do the same thing with the breath. So notice how the breath is as you arrive on your mat today. Or you're rushing to get here and the breath is a little hurried, a little fast. Or are you winding down for the evening and your breath is quite calm? And then bring one hand to the heart, one hand to the belly. And we'll start our time together today with a short pranayama practice, bringing awareness to the breath. So take an inhale. Exhale, release. And on your next inhale, feel the belly expand, breathe deep down into the belly. Ribs expand. Shoulders lift, collarbones lift. And then exhale, feel the shoulders drop gently. And the ribs come back in. And the belly come back in. Inhale, breathe deep into the belly. Feel the belly push into your hand. The ribs move out. The chest lift into your hand. And then exhale, reverse the movements. The chest gently lowers. The ribs gently come inwards. And the belly gently comes inwards. Inhale, belly. Chest. Shoulders. Exhale, shoulders. Chest and ribs. Belly. Inhale into the belly. The ribs and the shoulders lift. And exhale, shoulders, ribs, belly. And then keep going at that with your own pace. I'm going to take 3 more rounds of this. Breathing deep into the belly. And on the last round, allow the breath to return to normal. And feel any changes that may have happened in the body, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Any changes that may have come about in the breath. So in our time together today, we're going to be working with the breath. And it's said that in yoga, the breath is where the magic happens. It's where we're able to focus our attention and turn inwards. And when you breathe with awareness and with intention, such as we were just doing in our small pranayama practice, you're actually activating parts of your brain that switch on the rest and digest nervous system. And this is the part of the brain where we start to heal the body, we start to regenerate cells, we start to heal anything that may be going on within the body. And we call this conscious breathing. And it has a deep effect on our physical state, our mental state, our emotional state. So it's a hugely valuable practice for us. And unfortunately, in today's society, most of us live at the other end of the nervous system spectrum, which is the fight or flight, that I've got to fight a tiger kind of nervous system response. And spending a lot of time at that end of the spectrum leaves us overworked, it leaves us exhausted, it leaves us tired. And we're constantly battling things that increase the level of stress hormones within our body. But when we breathe with awareness, we're coming back to the opposite end of the spectrum, back to that rest and digest, and we're able to eliminate some of those stress hormones from our body, eliminate some of the tiredness, some of the anxiety. So this evening, we're going to be working, as I said, with the breath. And we're going to be using our inhales and exhales to anchor ourselves to the present moment, anchor ourselves into the poses. And in doing so, we're going to create optimal conditions for things like our organ function in the body, strengthening our immune system, increasing lung capacity, increasing oxygen uptake, aiding digestion, and just increasing our overall well-being. So our offering as we move through our time together today is to pay attention to the breath, to pay attention to the inhales and the exhales, and to maybe notice those quiet pauses in between. As in that moment, the body's peaceful, the breath rests. Maybe we're able to glimpse just a snapshot of that rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system. Take one more deep inhale through the nose. And then exhale, sigh it out of your mouth. And we'll do that one more time together. Inhale deeply through the nose. And exhale, sigh it out. And gently blink the eyes open. Allow the palms to drop to the thighs. If you need to wiggle out the legs a little bit, please feel free. You can stay seated on the blanket for the first couple of poses that we're going to do. So take the left leg out long and then out to the side a little bit. And then bend the right knee. Sole of the right foot comes to the inside of the left thigh. So we're in sort of a half butterfly pose. Sit up tall. Make sure the spine is lengthening up towards the ceiling. Palms can be wherever is comfortable. And on your next exhale, allow the right ear to fall to the right shoulder. If you want to add a little extra stretch, you can gently rest the right fingertips somewhere near the left ear, the left temple. Not pulling, just adding a little extra weight. And then maybe play with the angle of the chin. So tilt the chin down towards your chest. Maybe lift the chin up towards the ceiling a little bit. Just find any spots that maybe feel a little creaky, a little crunchy in the neck. And if you want to add on even a little bit more spice, you can walk the left fingers out towards the left. stretching out muscles on the left side of the neck. If you have the left fingers out to the left, just walk them back in and rest the palms somewhere in the lap. Release the right hand from the top of the head, and then using the right fingers, push the head back up to center. And just take a breath at the top and feel any sensational differences between the left side of the neck, the right side. And then we'll take just a couple of neck circles. Allow the right ear to meet the right shoulder again. And then bring the chin towards the chest. Left ear to the left shoulder. And allow the head gently, ever so slightly, to fall back behind you. Right ear, right shoulder. Chin to chest. Left ear, left shoulder. And then back behind you. And then keep going. Following your own breath, listening to those inhales and exhales. And if you find that you're having trouble maybe calming down or centering yourself, you can try inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. And again, if you find any particularly crunchy spots or tight spots in the neck, feel free to hang out in one particular area for a few breaths. I'm going to take 2 more full neck circles. And double check that you're still sitting up tall, not allowing the lower back to round behind you. And when you finish the circles, gently bring the head back up to center. And again, just pause for a brief moment. And we'll take this into a twist before we move to the other side. So take the right hand out behind you for support. You can be up on the fingertips. And then take the left hand to the outside of the right knee. Inhale, reaching the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. Sit up really tall. And then exhale, initiate a twist towards the right hand side. So you're twisting towards your bent leg. With every inhale, you sit up a little taller. And with every exhale, you twist a little deeper. Make sure you're always able to breathe in the twist, so don't go so far that it inhibits your breathing. And also try and keep that left sit bone, your left bum cheek, grounded down on the mat. So don't twist to the point that that left hip lifts up. If you want to continue the twist into the cervical spine, you can turn the head, look over the right shoulder. And we gently begin to unwind. So turn the head back to center first. Then begin to turn the torso back to center. Come out of the twist quite slowly. And a deep inhale and a deep exhale in the center. the hands behind you, lean backwards so that you can take both legs out long in front of you and give everything a little wiggle. And then we're going to move to the other side. I'm going to have to shift over a few inches so I don't kick you guys in my computer. This time, right leg is going to go out long. Left leg is bent with the sole of the left foot just on the inside of that right thigh. Hands fall wherever is comfortable. Double check you're sat up straight. Cervical spine is long. Gently close the eyes. And then allow your attention to come back to the sound of your own breath. Can you let your breath be louder than the voices in your head? With your next exhale, allow left ear to fall towards left shoulder. And maybe you bring the left fingertip somewhere by the right ear, adding on a little extra weight. And then final option to walk the right fingertips out towards the right. Again, play with the positioning of the jaw, dropping it down towards the left shoulder, maybe lifting it up towards the ceiling, finding any of those spots in the neck that tend to hold a little bit of extra tension, especially if you've been in home office all day or sat at the computer. You have the right fingers out to the side, walk them back in. Hand is somewhere in the lap that's comfortable. Release the left fingers and use them to push the head back up to center. Again, check in. How does the neck feel? Left side versus right side, front versus back. And we'll explore those neck circles on the left side. So again, allow the left ear to drop down towards the left shoulder. And chin comes towards chest. Right ear to right shoulder. Head gently behind you. Left ear, left shoulder. Chin to chest. Right ear, right shoulder. And towards the back. And keep going. So where in your life could you use a little bit more of that rest and digest nervous system rather than spending time in that fight or flight? What situations in your life immediately instigate a fight or flight response from you? And how could we use our breath in those situations to bring us back into that calmer nervous system state? And take 2 more full circles. And when you finish the last one, allow the head to come slowly back up to center. Deep inhale and a deep exhale at the top. And then we move into our twist. So take the left fingertips out behind you for support, sitting up tall. Right hand to the outside of that left thigh. Inhale, rise up tall. And exhale, gently twist towards the left this time. An option to continue the twist by looking over the left shoulder. And then return to the breath. If you're finding it hard to concentrate and you have thoughts popping into the mind, then maybe experiment with labeling your inhales and exhales. So as you inhale, simply say to yourself, inhale. And as you exhale, say to yourself, exhale. And just giving the brain something to focus on other than thoughts. Begin to exit the twist, firstly turning the head back towards center, and then turning the torso back towards center. And again, a deep inhale and one deep exhale. Take the hands up behind you, lean back, release the legs. And give everything a wiggle. You shake the feet from side to side. Take any movement that might feel good to you. And we're going to roll over into a wide-legged child's pose. So come on over onto your knees. You can move the blanket off to the side, or alternatively, you can roll it up a little bit and put it behind the knees on the back of the calf muscles. So knees, toes are on the mat. Take the knees as wide as the mat and big toes somewhere in the region of touching each other. They don't have to touch. Sit your bum on your heels. And then begin to lower the chest forward. You can come to forearms. If it's available to you, you can come all the way down to the mat. Maybe you make a little pillow for your forehead. If you have a bolster, you can also put a bolster in front of you and put your forehead onto the bolster. How can you make this the most comfortable child's pose that you could take? So for those of you who might be new to Yin Yoga, you'll notice that we're holding the poses a lot longer than we might do in other yoga practices. That's because we're targeting the connective tissue of the body. So in faster paced yoga, we're targeting the muscles, and muscles like to be worked quickly and repetitively. That's why we do sort of sun salutations and fast movements. But the connective tissue within the body, like the tendons, the ligaments, the blood vessels, the fascia, that all likes to be moved very slowly over long periods of time. So that's why we're taking our time to spend 2 to 3 minutes in each of these poses. And it also means that our practice can have a little bit of a meditative experience by allowing us time to focus on our breath. So here in child's pose, can you feel the breath in the back body? As you breathe in, can you feel the ribs on the back side of the body spread gently apart and the lungs expanding? And as you exhale, feel them move in the opposite direction, belly dropping towards the mat. And take 3 more deep breaths here, really paying attention to the sensations of the breath as it enters the body, and the sensations as it leaves the body. How does the breath feel in the nostrils, in the throat, in the lungs? And at the bottom of your next exhale, slowly begin to lift the chest up and walk the hands back in towards the knees. We never want to rush ourselves in this slow practice, so take as much time as you need to move in and out of these poses. You can bring the knees slightly closer in, so we want knees about hip width distance apart. We're making our way to all fours. So if you have that blanket behind the knees, you can remove it, remove it, and maybe put it underneath the knees. We're going to make our way into all fours tabletop. So if you have sensitive knees or a thin yoga mat, you might want a little bit of protection beneath the knees. So we will all meet in tabletop pose, all fours. So hips are over knees, shoulders are over wrists. And just take a couple of cat-cows here. So inhale, allow the belly to drop towards the mat, lift the tailbone, lift the head, arch in the spine. And exhale, push through the hands around the spine, gaze down towards your thighs. Inhale, allow the belly to drop slightly, lift the head and the tailbone. And exhale, round. And we're just finding some movement after child's pose. Keep going. And take one last round. And at the bottom of your next exhale, return to all fours, so return to stillness. And then begin to walk the hands slightly out in front of you, not super far, maybe just one hand length. Inhale, take the right arm out to the side, up towards the sky. And then exhale, thread the right arm beneath the left. So we're making our way into thread the needle. And lower right cheek, right shoulder to the mat. Left hand is a little bit up to you. You can have it somewhere in front of the face, pushing into the mat, elbow at 90 degrees. You can lower down to the left forearm. Alternatively, you can wrap the left hand around the back, reaching somewhere near the right thigh. So bum is sticking up in the air, shoulders, head down on the mat. I'm going to find the variation that's going to work for you today. And again, here we're twisting, so ensure that you're in a variation of the twist where you can still breathe. And take 3 more deep breaths. And with each breath, can you breathe deeper into the belly? We're trying to switch from just breathing into the rib cage, breathing into the top of the lungs, to breathing into the entire volume of the lungs. And the deeper we breathe, the slower we breathe, the more attention we bring to our breath, the more able our body is to take us into that rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system and away from that fight or flight stress response. And the bottom of your next exhale will slowly begin to make our way out and come out of this really slowly. So push into the left hand or the left forearm. And then gently take the right arm out to the side again, up towards the sky. I'm just doing a little counter twist. And right hand back to the mat. So we come back and meet in all fours. One deep inhale. And a deep exhale in the center. And we'll take it to the other side. Inhale, left arm out to the side, up towards the sky. Exhale, thread that arm through. So left shoulder, left cheek comes to the mat. And yogi's choice for the right arm or the right hand. And fingertips on the mat by the face, forearm on the mat. Or maybe you sneak the right hand around by the left hip or thigh. Notice in this pose where the breath is for you. Breathing into the back body. You're feeling the intercostal muscles between the ribs on the back side of the body spreading apart within every inhale. You're breathing more into the side, into the front. Can you find some degree of that calming belly breath? And again, 3 more deep breaths here. Seeing if you can make each one slightly deeper than the previous one. And feeling the belly expand ever so slightly more. At the bottom of your third exhale, slowly begin to make your way out, pushing into that right hand or the right forearm. And taking the left arm out to the side, up towards the sky, counter twist, and then left hand back to the mat. And one pause here, one deep inhale, and this time side out the mouth. We'll make our way into the swan. So lift the right knee off the mat and bring the right knee just behind the right hand. Turn the shin so that the shin starts to point out towards the left toes out towards the left. Right toes out towards the left. Tuck the left toes under and start to shift the left foot back a little bit. So for those of you from a vinyasa background, this is pigeon. If that right butt cheek, that right hip is floating up off the mat, you can grab a blanket or a block. Shove something under that hip, just so you're not tipping over to one side. And we'll take one breath at the top. So inhale, push into the hands, lift the chest, really look forward. And then exhale, gently begin to lower forwards. Come to your forearms and pause there. And notice how the hips feel. If you want to stop here, that's perfect. If you'd like to keep going and lower down so that your forehead comes to the mat, or maybe forehead comes to a little pillow of the hands, and please take that variation. And breathe deep into that front inner thigh and the front of the back thigh. With every inhale, can you imagine your breath flowing all the way down into your pelvis, into your hips, so that with every exhale, your hips open just a tiny bit more. If you're all the way down on the mat, if your forehead's on the mat, slowly begin to work your way back up to forearms. Can you move so slowly that you only move on your inhales? So maybe with your next inhale, you come up to your hands, and then you pause for the exhale. And the next inhale, maybe move the blanket out the way. Shift the back knee in and come back to all fours. And then an exhale in all fours. And pause for a breath. Noticing if there's any difference in sensation between the right hip, the left hip. And then we'll take it into the other side. So step left knee just behind left hand, and take the left toes out to the right. And then scoot that back leg out behind you. Again, blanket or a block is your friend under the left bum cheek. And then we push into our hands for our first breath off for the heart forward, gaze forward, reaching the crown of the head upwards. And exhale, we gently and slowly begin to walk forward, coming to our forearms, and we pause. Just allowing ourselves to get used to being in a new orientation. And then if it's available to you and you'd like to take it, you can lower the forehead all the way down, either to the mat or to your hands. And again, with every breath, visualize that inhale moving all the way down, down into the belly, down into the pelvis, into the hips, Gently allowing those muscles to soften, allowing any tension that you might be storing down there to release, to melt away. If your forehead is down, start to come back up. Again, just moving on your inhale and taking that exhale to pause and be still. Finding those quiet moments in between the breaths. Maybe your next inhale brings you back up to your hands, and then we pause at the top. And then your next breath, maybe the back knee comes in. You move the prop off to the side and come back to all fours. And deep inhale through the nose. And then exhale, side out. As you're ready, we're going to make our way onto our backs. So however you want to get there is fine. You just want to turn to the side, bring your bum down. Extend the legs and come to lay all the way down on your back. If you want to have a pillow with you, that's fine. Whatever pops. We're taking ourselves into the wonderfully named Banana Asana. So come lay straight on the mat, like a laying down Tadasana to begin with. Palms face up. And then slowly walk the feet over to the bottom left corner of the mat. You can stay right here, or you can continue the banana shape by scooching the shoulders and the head over to the top left corner. So hips are staying glued to the mat in the middle, and the feet and the head are over on the left side, making a C shape, a half moon shape. You can play maybe with crossing right ankle over left. Just going to take it a little bit extra into the outside of that right thigh, into the IT band. You can also experiment with bringing the arms overhead, the left wrist grabbing, left hand grabbing right wrist. Or you can simply have the hands down by the sides, or one hand on the belly, one hand on the chest. So find your expression of this pose. And then can you breathe deep into your right side body? So with every inhale, can you feel the ribs on the right side expand away from each other? Finding a little bit more space to breathe in that right lung. If you have the arms crossed overhead, just bring them back down to the sides. And if you have the ankles crossed, you can uncross the ankles. And we'll make our way back to the center. So scooch the head and the shoulders back first, and then move the feet, the ankles back. And we'll walk it over to the other side. So walk the feet, the ankles over to the bottom right corner. Option to stay right here. Or option to shift the head and the shoulders over to the top right corner. Again, hips are staying glued to the center of the mat where we started the journey. You can leave the feet as they are, or this time you can cross left ankle over right. And you can leave the hands as they are, or you can take the arms overhead, grasping the left wrist with the right fingers. And then breathe into the left side waist. Can you use your inhale to expand every inch of the body on the left side, all the way down to the tippy toes? And if you have the hands overhead, you can release them down. Uncross the feet. And walk the feet back to the center of the mat. Walk the head and the shoulders back to the center of the mat. And bend the knees. Place the soles of the feet on the floor somewhere near your bum. Hands can be down by the side to begin with. Push into the feet. Lift the hips up just an inch and scoot the hips a couple of inches over to the right, and then lower the hips back down. Bring the knees in towards the chest and allow the knees to fall over to the left. So coming into a two-knee spinal twist. If you want to take a completely different variation that suits you better, that is fine. The left hand maybe falls on top of the right knee. You can take the right arm out at shoulder height, palm facing up. Gaze can be straight up towards the ceiling or maybe over to the right hand. If having the arm out straight doesn't work for you, you can try cactusing the arm, so just bending at the elbow. And if neither of those works, you can just rest the right hand on the right hip. And next inhale, start to bring the knees back up towards center. And bring the hands down by the sides again, just for a moment. Realign yourself. Push into the feet, lift the hips up again and scoot them a few inches to the left. Lower them back down and then allow both knees to fall to the right. So we're just moving into the other side. Right hand maybe rests on top of the left thigh. If the knees are floating, you can stick block, blanket under them. Left arm can go out at shoulder height, maybe cactus arm, or left hand on left hip. You can allow the eyes to close with the face pointing up towards the ceiling, or maybe allow the left cheek to fall down towards the left shoulder. And next inhale, allow the knees to come back up, gently finding a center point again. And from here, we'll make our way into Shavasana. So if there's any props you want to grab, any blankets or jumpers, socks, eye pillows, whatever you need to make your Shavasana today. And then as you settle in, allow the feet to roll out to the side, allow the palms to be face up. Gently walk the shoulder blades underneath you a little bit, opening up the chest, opening up the collarbones. Close the eyes. And then we'll take 2 falling out breaths together. So a deep inhale through the nose, a sigh out the mouth. And then one more like that. Collectively, we inhale through the nose. Exhale, we sigh. And begin to bring the awareness back to the breath. So before you even move, just bring your attention to the feelings and the sounds of your inhales and exhales. And can you make each inhale and each exhale just a little bit longer, a little bit deeper? And then slowly bring some micro movements back to the body, so wiggling the fingers and the toes, keeping your attention on the breath. So you can make the movements a little bigger, circling wrists and ankles. And take both arms overhead, take a full body stretch, really reach in every direction. And then tuck the knees into the chest, wrap the arms around the knees, wrap yourself into a tiny little ball. Give yourself a big hug and say thank you for showing up today. As you're ready, roll over to your right side. And pause there for a breath. Maybe make a little pillow with your hands. And then let an inhale bring you back up to seated. You can return to any comfortable seat of your choice. And as you get there again, sit up tall and bring one hand to the belly, one hand to the heart. So we end our practice where we began together today. And we'll take a few rounds of our pranayama again together. So as you inhale, feel the belly expand, feel the ribs and the chest expand, maybe feel the collarbones and the shoulders lift. And then as you exhale, feel the shoulders release down, and the ribs release in, and the belly come back in. And just take two more like that. Deep inhale into the belly, the ribs, the shoulders. And exhale from the shoulders, the ribs, and the belly. Inhale, belly, ribs, shoulders. Exhale, shoulders, belly, ribs. Now allow your breath to return to its normal pattern. And maybe notice if it's any deeper than it was when we started our time together today. And bring your hands together and prayer at the chest. And bring to mind someone in your life who could use a little bit of extra love right now, a little bit of extra support. And set an intention to carry with you today when you leave the mat a little piece of the calm that you might have cultivated, and to share that with whoever that person is in your life that needs a little extra attention today. And know that at any time when life gets overwhelming and gets stressful, gets too busy and hectic, you can always come back to the breath. You can always let the breath be louder than the voices in your head. And bring the knuckles of the thumbs to the third eye, the center of the forehead. So with grace and gratitude that the light in me honors and bows to the light within each and every one of you. Hari Om, Tat Sat. Namaste. Thank you, everybody, so much for choosing to practice with me today and hopefully joining me for the rest of the month. I hope you enjoyed the class. And as I mentioned, you will receive an email tomorrow with a link to the replay should you want to watch it again. And if not, then you'll receive a link an hour before class again next week for next week's class if you signed up. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, rest of your evening, whatever time zone you're in. And I hope to see you on the mat again soon. Bye.